Good morning, YouTube. This is Don V with Truth Be Told, and we have a couple interesting reports here. One of them is about Epstein and his address book. Interesting. Before we move to the report, please subscribe. Remember, it's free to subscribe. Doesn't cost you a cent. And we're trying to grow this channel. And 90% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribers. So I appreciate it if you just take a second and do that for me. At any rate, without ado, let's go ahead and move right to it. It says, address book found on New York City sidewalk appears to show more connections of convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. A dirtbag. An address book reportedly found on the streets of New York City appeared to show more connections among the rich and famous of convicted sex offender Jeff Epstein. Business Insider obtained a previously unreported address book containing the names of a number of prominent figures, including actress Morgan Fairchild, the Communist News Network's anchor Chris Cuomo's wife, Cristina Greeven, former New Republic owner Marty Peretz, and former First Lady Melania Trump's best friend, Suzanne Johnson. Whew, scared me there. Susanna Urcha, who was married to former 45's administration official Woody Johnson, is also named in the book, along with financier Carl Icahn, billionaire John A. Mattis, and writer Stephen Ratner, according to Business Insider, which published a full list of those named in the book. Former musician Denise Ondako found the book on the sidewalk in the late 1990s when she was living in the Manhattan East Village, Insider reported. One of her relatives realized who the book might have belonged to in 2020. Ondako sold the book on eBay to a congressional candidate who was living in Vermont. I wasn't smart enough to figure out it was Epstein's, Ondako told Insider. She also told the publication that she reached out to the New York Times, John Oliver, and Rachel Maddow about the book before selling it, but had never heard back. Of course! They'd never want one of their heroes to come out on something like this, would they? The book contains 349 names and is dated October 97, according to the Business Insider. If it is, in fact, one of Epstein's black books, it could allow the public a glimpse into Epstein's affairs a decade before his already publicized little black book was completed. Over 200 names are included in the book that do not appear in the later address book, which turned up in 2009. Epstein allegedly died of apparent suicide in a federal jail in New York City in August 2019. I believe, personally, and I'm allowed to have an opinion, that Epstein's still alive and he's singing like a songbird. New York City. His cohort, Ghislaine Maxwell, who has been accused of involvement in Epstein's crimes against young women, was arrested by the FBI in July of 2020. A grand jury indicted her on charges of conspiracy to entice minors to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport minors to these illegal sex acts, transportation of a minor to engage in illegal sex acts, and perjury. The victims were as young as 14 years old. Oh, that just makes me ill. The indictment said, noting that both Maxwell and Epstein knew that certain victims were in fact under the age of 18. Yeah, it's pretty obvious, when they're that young. Absolutely just disgusting. Okay, it says, Americans finally agree on something. Most Americans believe someone other than Biden is running the show. Yeah, and I would say it's probably him, and we know he's involved. Who is really running the Biden-Obama administration? We asked this question in January 2021. We asked it again on the 4th of July. It looks like most of America is asking the same question. Who's running the Biden administration? The very reputable Trafalgar Group asked the same question in a nationwide survey. They asked Americans if they believe Biden is fully executing the duties of his office. Most Americans believe someone other than Biden is running the country. And as you can see right here, looks like about 56.5%. No others are directing policy and agenda. Okay, 1/3 of Democrats believe someone else is running the government. Most Republicans believe someone other than Biden is running the government. 58.4% of independents believe someone other than Biden is running the government. Americans finally agree on something. Senile Joe Biden is not running the show. Amen. And last but not least, the silent emergence of fascism in the U.S. Pelosi's Tuesday announcement should send chills down your spine. Vigilance has warned that the present danger but the alarms were shrugged off by the delusional thought, well, that cannot happen in the USA. Blatant events beginning with the Obama administration shocked and caused consternation, but all was forgotten under DJT's administration. Then November 3rd, 2020 came and ushered in the reality. The dream has become a nightmare. 6 months into the Biden administration, Americans have witnessed the overall overt attacks upon our civility, utter contempt for our historical heritage, cursing for our once envied culture, and ruin for our thriving economy. The bulwark of our republic's independence has been breached as the U.S. Constitution rule of law has refused to be upheld by the courts. Those who uphold fidelity to the Constitution are imprisoned, while those advocating anarchy are applauded. The disintegration of our culture, history, and body politic is not new in civilization's records. I have noted specific similarities of historical precedent in the godless French Revolution, the inhumane fanaticism of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, which we all call the Nazis, that provide obvious education on the intent that the terminal fate of such movements. However, history's instructions are ignored, and the steady march towards devolution continues. Illustrating how far down the path of disintegration of our nation's once proud state in the world's view is the shocking event announced on the 6th of July 2021 by the Los Angeles Times. The U.S. Capitol Police on Tuesday announced the agency was opening regional field offices in California and Florida to investigate threats to members of Congress in the wake of January 6th on the Capitol. Jim Holt publicized this overt seizure of states' rights by the federal government in an article to the Gateway Pundit in the evening of July 6th. The announcement of the flagrant overreach of Nancy Pelosi and her army of brown shirts came only 2 days after our nation had celebrated the Independence Day of our nation, where tyranny was rejected and liberty and freedom were gained. According to the announcements, Pelosi will assign the Capitol Police to various hotspots throughout our nation for the purpose of confronting those deemed radical extremists. Informed readers know this is a term identifying those who believe the Constitution and not the extremists residing in Washington, D.C. is the rule of law. While the view of Pelosi and evidently all Congress, the White House, and the SCOTUS, since there is deafening silence from their quarters regarding this action, is not unexpected. It is another historical illustration of how freedom is seized and tyranny becomes the rule of law. The historical precedent is obvious, although I can't say his word, is synonymous with pure evil. He is not alone in civilization's hall of shame. All despots share a behavioral pattern. This recent announcement of the deploy of Pelosi's Capitol Police to eradicate racial extremists throughout the nation is clear behavior of despotic rule and ruin. Listen carefully to history from the 1920s. Can't say his name. Rise to evil tyranny was carefully orchestrated, beginning in small gatherings. It amassed fanatical support through a cunning propaganda machine. The truth was twisted, lies were polished, minds were manipulated, but even with these accomplishments, not all would march in goose step with the fascists. Can't say his name. Needed a force to quell any opposition. Can't say his name. Is forever etched in the chronicles of human civilization as the personification of evil. It was due to him that Hit turned to secure silence to the radical extremists threatening Hit delusional dreams. Him started in 25 with a band of 300 bodyguards for Hit. This group was established and named as Schutzstaffel. We know it simply as the SS. These were the black uniformed skull insignia and forces of Hitler's evil. This group grew to 50,000 when Hitler took control of Germany. Eventually, this group numbered the hundreds of thousands. Initially, this group was Führer's personal bodyguards, but evil knows no boundaries. And soon this group was assigned duties to control and exterminate all deemed unsuitable. The SS became the police for the nation of Germany and all its conquered territories. This is the group tasked with the final solution. This is the group responsible for instituting, killing, and genocide of more than 20 million people during the Holocaust, including approximately 5.2 million to 6 million Jews and 10.5 million Slavs. This is the group involved in the daily operation of Hitler's brutalizing and murdering individuals in territories occupied by him. This is the face of terrorists in death camps. America, this is where you are on the 6th of July, 2021. A national announcement has been made stating that there will be national police force tasked with controlling, eradication of radical extremists. The constitutional rights assigned to the individual states are nullified. The federal government has decided the state knows better and that the individual. What freedoms will include? This is history's lesson. The lesson could not be clearer. This is a mark of fascism that leads to tyranny, that enslaves, not liberates. Oh, my word. Guys, we are really in trouble. But we also know, according to all the prophets, that God has a plan and some really good things are fixing to happen. So just stay on your knees, write to these useless congressmen and useless senators, and demand justice. And that's all I got to say about all this alleged information. Got to say alleged, keep forgetting. And this is Don V with Truth Be Told, broadcasting out of Arizona under hot, sunny skies. And we are out of here.